Hello, Master Manifestors. It is Olivia Grace, and I'm back with another video. And today I am talking about how to develop a relationship with God without religion. This is a question that someone asked me on one of my shorts, and it was such a good question. I've actually been kind of, needing to make a video on this. But to be honest, I had a little resistance to that because I feel like in the, obviously the religious community has their idea of God, and it's very restrictive and people get very offended. And then the spiritual community, most of us are so traumatized from religion that we don't even feel comfortable using the word God, and can, offend people on that side. So kind of bridging the two was definitely had me in a little bit of resistance. But this question is so good, and I just feel like us in the spirituality community, and especially in the manifestation community, you're just missing out on another level of freedom and fulfillment, and peace and joy, and even manifesting, making it easier when you do have this relationship and connection with God. So I'm going to be talking about that today. And this is, of course, my opinion, you guys. You do not have to take my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And my advice is going to be along that line anyway. But I do have coaching in the description, you guys. I am hosting a live retreat this February. It'll be in Atlanta. If you're interested, email me. And I am doing free distance healings, free sat scenes, and that info is also in the description. And like and subscribe, comment on the video, all of that good stuff, just to support the channel. So the question was, how do you connect with God? And how do you trust these books in the Bible when everybody is saying, like, when it's all misinformation, basically? So what I told this person, and what I'm going to tell you guys, is number one, that your connection with God is individual, right? This is not like, there's not one way to God, which is completely opposite to what religion teaches. And even spirituality, has picked that up. And I talk about that as well. Like, you have to, be vegan and not have any desires, and, all this. And that's the only way that you can, really connect with God. And, or religion is, you have to come to this church and read this Bible or this book or whatever religious text, or be in this religious sect. And if you're not, you're going to hell and you're not connected with God. The truth is that you're always connected to God. We are literally connected to God. I said in the comment that I responded, that God is closer than close and nearer than hands and feet. That is in the Bible. And what is interesting for me is that when, just a little background for you guys, is I grew up in Christianity. That was what I grew up in as a kid. I went to church every week, twice a week. We were very involved in church. But ever since a kid, it just didn't resonate with me. It didn't make sense to me. Like, even as a kid, I was like, well, if love does not boast and does not envy, then why is God a jealous God? Like, that's one of the earliest things I can remember, like, questioning, like, but why is it saying this thing? And then there's these other things that's saying completely opposite. And as for me, long story short, I was actually studying the Bible to become a disciple, to get baptized. And I just had a really not good feeling, just to be honest. I just felt very pressured. It gave me, and please don't take this offense if you are a Christian, you guys, this is just my personal experience, but it gave me culty vibes. It didn't seem genuine. It didn't seem authentic. And ironically, things just kept happening to where I never ended up getting baptized. But for me, I wanted to, if I'm going to dedicate my life to something, because I don't take stuff like that lightly. If I say I'm going to dedicate my life to this teaching and to, this religion, I want to make sure that that fully resonates with me and makes sense to me, right? And it didn't. And so I say that to say that for me, I didn't find God in Christianity. For many other people, they do find God in Christianity, and that's fine. And for many people, they do find God in religion, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think as, like, spirituality, we need to stop making people wrong for their decisions on both sides. There is a peace and a joy and an essence to life that you feel when you are truly connected with God. And for a lot of people, that connection happens within religion. And I get it, because the feeling and connection that I have with God, I wouldn't trade for anything. I wouldn't care how people are going to, talk about me, or if people are annoyed with me, or, whatever. That connection is so potent and real and amazing and loving that it makes sense that people, turn their beliefs and give all their life to Christ and, do all of these things. But for some people, they find it there, and that's okay. In my opinion, religion, and really any person that claims to know the exact truth, that knows exactly what God wants, and this is the only way, is limiting themselves, because God is so beyond what a human mind can comprehend, right? We can only basically pick up little pieces of God. And that's what we've all been doing all along the way, picking up little pieces of God and little understandings of God's teachings and little understandings of this and that. And what people are doing is taking their understanding and saying, this is the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God, like literally, and anybody that goes against this is against God. And you cannot be against God. Even to me, the idea of a devil, it doesn't make sense. If God is all powerful, if God is omnipotent, how can there be a power that is equally bad, or that can overpower God, or can override what God's will is? That doesn't make sense. But that's just my opinion. So anyways, that's just my little spiel. But as far as connecting with God, because I know for me too, I shied away from connecting with God. It was all about, the universe, source, energy, which there's nothing wrong with those terms either. But when I began channeling and God started talking to me and God told me that I was going to do this, God was like, you have the ability to bridge these worlds. And this is going to bring, like, basically the connection, side note, my purpose connections are my purpose emotions, like my purpose is, like, in this lifetime, is freedom and connection. In spirituality, you find deep connection. In manifestation and spirituality, you find deep freedom. And so, but in spirituality, there's deep connection, but there's not a lot of freedom. It's very constrained. It's very, this is the rules and this is how it has to be. And you can't do this until you do that and all this kind of stuff. In spirituality, there's lots of freedom. You can do whatever you want, but there's a lot of that connection with God, with something greater leaving, right? Because yes, we are God. God is us manifested in this body. But I always couldn't help thinking, when learning about the law of assumption, like, okay, yes, like everything here is imagination, but is here all that there is, right? Here is not all that there is. There is more beyond just this earth. There is more than just this experience. And I just want to, like, really quick recommend you guys that are really seeking spiritual truth to look into near-death experiences, because these are people, if in my opinion, they have the most merit that are walking the earth to tell us what's going on the other side. These are people who have actually left their body, gone to the other side, experienced the other side, and come back and been able to tell their story. And they really piece spirituality, manifestation, science, they piece it all together. So I highly suggest, if you're a seeker, to look into those things. But beyond all of this, let me get back to the original question, which is how to connect with God without religion, right? So prayer and meditation, those were fundamental to me, because the thing is, I've read so many books. I have even studied the Bible with a spiritual mentor of mine, and we studied it from the perspective, we studied just like a little bit of the First Testament, but from the perspective of a spiritual expanded perspective. And there's so many esoteric truths in the Bible, but of course there are a lot of misconstrued and misbeliefs also within the Bible. So what you really need, what's really coming to me right now, is discernment, you guys. And discernment comes from tuning in with yourself and having a personal relationship with God. That's why I said that in the beginning, that your relationship with God is individual. Okay, so you're not gonna, I can tell you the books that I've read, and I'm gonna give you guys a few authors that I suggest that you check out, but I can tell you the books that I've read, but that might not be what it is for you to connect with God, right? Everybody has their own way to connect with God. But you find that way out by prayer and meditation, right? So meditating is something that I've been doing for a long time. And meditating is kind of like you're in the receiving mode. So you're receiving, God's energy or receiving insights from higher, realms. When you're praying, though, praying is also important because I had gotten away from prayer. I really, honestly, was so just turned off to religion. In my spiritual journey that everything that came with it, I turned away from it. And in that, you guys, in my opinion, in my experience, please heavy on that, you guys, in my opinion, in my experience, when you turn away from everything that comes from some religions or whatever, you're still blocking yourself off. You're still limiting yourself. So like I said, I wasn't praying because I felt like, and I was confused. I was like, who am I praying to? If I'm God, then who am I praying to? But you are God. You're God, but you're conscious of being this person, right? And there is this all that is energy. There's your guides, there's the angels, there's all of these higher beings that you can connect with and tend to connect with by praying. And so praying is you setting your intention. That's really all that prayer is when you really see it, because from manifestation, we know that there's nothing to ask for. We know that we have everything within, right? The kingdom of heaven is within you. That's what that's talking about. It's everything is within you. So really, when I pray, I'm not really asking God, can you do this for me? I am setting an intention for what I'm expecting to experience, and then taking that a step further and thanking God for it already being done. That's how I pray, right? But these two things, and just like I told the girl in the comments, just you simply having the intention to connect with God God is going to start leaving little breadcrumbs and little things that lead you to understanding your own truth and your own awakening of that connection with God, right? It's going to lead you on its own. It's not even something that you're really going to have to keep seeking. Just that intention and that call, right? Because we have free will here. So God, your angels, your guides, they're not going to interfere in your life most of the time, right? They have to be asked in and invited in. So your invitation is all that's needed. And you'll start getting subtle, occurrences, like subtle things that will come around. And these things heavy on subtle, you guys, because sometimes we're looking for big signs, and God will absolutely put big signs in front of you. But most of the time it starts as these little breadcrumbs and these little nudges and these little hints and these little intuitions. And it's so easy to ignore, right? Because the thing is that most of us don't want Jesus to like materialize in our living room and be like, hey, here's what you need to do. That would freak most of us out. That would freak me out, right? So, God is not going to appear to you that way. It's going to appear to you in different ways, like a song answering the question that you're just asking, or a video answering the question that you're just asking, or a friend coming and telling you something that you're just wondering about. Like things like that will lead you. It will lead you to the right and correct books for you. It will lead you to the right videos for you. It will lead you to the right understandings for you. And that's why I say it's so individual, you guys, because sometimes I know for me, I was resisting my call to a lot of things because I associated it with religion. And I said, I don't want to have anything to do with religion, so I'm not going to follow my call where my intuition is guiding me. But I was missing out on deeper understanding and deeper truths. So the biggest part of connecting with God is, number one, having the awareness that you're always connected with God. You can never not be connected with God. That's your true essence, right? But having the intention, praying, meditating with the intention of connecting with God, and discernment is what's going to help you find the right books and the right things that's going to lead you on your way. And the last thing I'll say is the thing about God that has gotten lost across most things. God is love and love only. God is love and love only. We experience all this crazy stuff on earth, not because there's a devil, but because God is experiencing all that is. God is experiencing all that there is to experience. And God knows that our soul, our true essence, cannot be harmed. God cannot be harmed. So it knows that by us having this experience, nothing is going actually wrong. Just like playing Grand Theft Auto, when you drive CJ into a pole, you're not like, oh my God, I killed somebody. Like, oh my God, his family. Like, it's not real. Like, he's just going to respawn, literally. And it's like that on this level too, but we'll probably talk about that on another video. But God is love, period. God's message is love. God's message is love, truth, light, joy, happiness. When you see something coming from fear, that is your red flag to, I was going to say run, but you don't even have to be afraid of it. But that is a red flag to let you know that that's coming from ego. That's coming from a human interpretation, because humans have made God human, right? Humans feel like God is like their dad. So God's happy when you do what God says to do, and God's unhappy when you don't do what he says to do, which doesn't make any sense, because if it's an all-powerful being and he wants us to be perfect, he would have just created us perfect. God obviously wanted us to be imperfect and sin. I'm not even going to get into all that, but whatever. Like, God, like, when someone is telling you that you have to be like this, or God doesn't like that, or God is mad at you, or God's going to put you in hell or a fiery place, or all these things, like when the message is coming, and even in the spiritual community, because they got it going on over here too, if you do this thing, or if you, these entities, and it's all this fear-based stuff, that is your sign that this person, I won't even say doesn't know what they're talking about, because they're talking from their experience. They're talking from their level of consciousness. But when you really connect with God consciousness, God is on a very high level of consciousness, and there's only love up there. There's no evil beings or a devil or all this stuff. So when you see people pushing fear, that is your sign that this person may not be as informed, or they may not be coming from, their message may not be as pure, right? When the message is coming from love, and you can feel it in your body, guys, you can feel when things resonate. Maybe you're feeling it while you're watching this, that the goosebumps in your body when you hear something that feels true, that feeling in your heart when you hear something that is true. That's what you want to look out for, guys. Not for what's popular, not for what people are telling you, not for what somebody else has found as their truth. Not even for me, not even to look at what I said and say, okay, so these are the things. No, it is so individual to you. And so what I encourage you guys to do is to tune into yourself, tune into your body, tune into your vibe, and tune in with God on yourself, because God hears you. He does not care if you're in a temple or in your house, in your car. God is with you. He hears you. It's waiting for you. It's open to help you, right? And it's waiting for you. So you can absolutely just intend for that. And see that. And what's so powerful, you guys, I'll say this and then I'll hop off for real, is imagine using, like what I've been doing lately and in my sessions is combining the law of assumption with spirituality, combining the law of assumption with energy healing. And it's been so fucking incredible. And it's been making me, like, instead of me saying, oh, I have to, go through all of this stuff to become, a healer, I just assumed that I was, and I was, right? And instead of having to, what am I trying to say? Instead of trying to have to force everything and force everything to my reality, I connected with the spiritual side of things. And it just helps me see how everything is imagination. When I'm doing a healing on someone that's across the country and they can feel what I'm doing and see what I'm doing, and I'm doing it in my imagination with my intention, it shows how physical and real this energy is, which translates over to the law of assumption. So it all combines together. And it's been incredible for me. But anyways, like the video if you like this, share it, comment, maybe you can comment your thoughts on what you believe that God is, or what has led you to where you are. And I want us to just be kind in the comments, you guys, to each other, and respect people where they are. It's not helpful as a spiritual person to look down on people for what they believe, because then we've become just like the people that we left, right? So anyways, I love you guys. I hope you guys are having an amazing week. I intend that this video prospers you in your life and brings you closer to God, and I will see you guys in another video soon.